Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. I'm Dr. Mohibullah Wazir, and the topic is the cerebrum. Look, the cerebrum is the biggest part of the forebrain, and it is having two hemispheres, right cerebral hemisphere and left cerebral hemisphere, lying inside the cranial cavity. It consists of the anterior pole or frontal pole, and then the posterior pole or occipital pole, and then this temporal pole. The frontal pole or anterior pole lies in the anterior cranial fossa, and the occipital pole lies in the posterior cranial fossa upon the tentorium cerebelli, and the tentorium separate the two structures from one another. You look it over here, please. Look, this is the occipital pole, this is cerebellum, and this is the tentorium or sheet of the meninges dura mater, which lies between the two. This is the occipital pole, and then this is the temporal pole, which lies in the middle cranial fossa. Alright, and this way there are three poles: anterior, posterior, and temporal. Look, then it is having three surfaces. Number one, this superolateral surface, which is broadly convex all around and in conformity with the skull bones. And then look at the medial surface, which is flat, and the two medial surfaces are being united with one another by this bundle of fibers, which is called as corpus callosum, and this bundle of fibers passes from one hemisphere to another cerebral hemisphere and connect the two with one another. Okay, and then the inferior surface is more irregular, and the frontal part of the inferior surface of the frontal lobe, it lies upon the floor of the anterior cranial fossa, while the inferior surface of the occipital lobe lies upon the tentorium cerebelli, separating it from the upper surface of the cerebellum. And then when you look at the surface of the cerebrum, it is all being made up of neurons or cell bodies. And you know, the brain is being made up of billions of neurons. In this way, then all neurons will get together, it make a very large sheet, neurons united with one another, the cell bodies. And it is grey in color. That's why the outer surface of the cerebrum from all around is being covered by a grey matter, which is nothing but the collection of neurons, cell bodies. Now, when it meets, and from the undersurface of these neurons or cells, from the undersurface of neurons or cells, originate the axons, and if you remove this outer surface, inside it you will see that is from the undersurface coming from these neurons will be the axons, or these bundle of fibers which will make the white matter. In this way, the outer surface is made up of gray matter, while the inner surface is being made up of white matter. But then embedded inside the white matter, but on the outer surface covered by this gray matter of neuron cell bodies, buried inside the white matter, over here embedded are a group of cells which make the basal nuclei and the thalamus and hypothalamus. You can see it also over here. Look, which make the thalamus and this hypothalamus, and the basal ganglion which are buried in it. Also, some part of the cortex is also being buried over here in the lateral sulcus, which make it insula. In this way, the buried gray matter inside the white matter is the insula, the basal nuclei, and then the thalamus and hypothalamus. These are the buried gray matter inside the white matter. Then the surface, if you look at the surface of the cerebrum, it is having the elevations and depressions, and these elevations are called as gyri, while the depressions are being made, they are called as sulci. And it is like that. Look, such a big sheet of neurons, when the neurons get together, billions of neurons in the brain, such if such big sheet were there, then the skull should be very big, which be to accommodate this whole sheet. Then what Allah has done, Allah has been made the surface of the cerebral cortex like that, so that it is being the displayed in the form of elevations and depressions. The elevation which are called as gyri, and the depression which are called as sulci, and in this way it reduces the surface area by so much. You can see it, the surface area being reduced. So this sulci and gyri which you see it on the surface, these are again just to reduce the surface area. And this sulci and gyri, it divides the brain into different lobes. These lobes are different, functionally also different. Now look over here, please. Look. Look. Again. Look. This is the central sulcus, and this is the precentral gyrus, and this is the postcentral gyrus. Anterior to the frontal sulcus lies the frontal pole, and this is the lateral sulcus. So the part of the brain between this central sulcus, cerebrum, and this lateral sulcus, this is the frontal lobe of the cerebrum. While posterior to the central sulcus, lies this parietal lobe, which is limited posteriorly by this parieto-occipital sulcus. So between the parieto-occipital sulcus and anteriorly bounded by the central sulcus, posteriorly bounded by the posterior parieto-occipital sulcus, while posteriorly it is bounded by the lateral sulcus, this is the parietal lobe. And then posterior to the parieto-occipital sulcus, this is the occipital lobe, while below the lateral sulcus, this is the temporal lobe. In this way, bounded, over here this is the frontal lobe, this is the temporal, this is the occipital, and this is the parietal. The frontal is bounded by the central sulcus and lateral. The parietal is bounded by the central and the parieto-occipital and the lateral, while the parieto-occipital posterior is bounded by the parieto-occipital sulcus, and below that is the temporal lobe. You can see it also, this over here, please. Look, this is the frontal lobe, this is the parietal lobe, this is the temporal lobe, and this is the occipital lobe. Over here is parieto-occipital sulcus, over here is the central sulcus, and this is the lateral sulcus. In this way, the cerebrum is being divided into different lobes by this prominent sulci. These sulci are almost all of them are being named, but some of them we will describe in detail. Secondly, note the point: the two brains of the two human beings are not 100% identical with one another, but the general similarity of all the brains is the same. That's why we will describe the general similarity in the sulci and gyri, which are in general equal or similar to all brain. We will describe all them. Thank you very much.